It's a five-person race for Rockwall City Council, and the four that actually care about earning the vote of conservatives are here in the bunker for some straight talk. I'm Bunker Bob Steinhagen, and this is a special edition of The Bunker Bob Show. Welcome, conservatives, to a show I guarantee will make you the most informed voter for the upcoming city council election. There are five candidates in this race, and four of them actually care about earning your vote. Candidate Ron Smith did not even pay us the courtesy of responding to our multiple invitations, which shouldn't surprise anyone since no liberal wants to be put on the spot, especially in a county that votes 73% for Donald Trump. Of course, as I always do, the candidates received a copy of the questions before they had to decide to participate, or in Mr. Smith's case, simply not respond at all. That's because I want every candidate to think through their answers so that you see them at their best. Now, just like my other candidate question and answer shows, through the magic of video, we try to create the illusion that the candidates are in studio at the same time. However, each candidate sat down with me for a one-on-one interview, which is edited together to create the illusion that they're here at the same time. Now, that illusion is not going to be as dramatic as with the other two-person races, since the studio space is so limited, especially when I speak one-on-one with each candidate. However, I hope you might suspend reality and not look too critically when it becomes clear that the candidate is with me alone. So what I'd like for you to do is believe the fantasy that both Dennis Lewis and Priscylla Bento are incredibly fast, who will actually pick up their chairs and get out of the shot when I'm talking one-on-one with Clarence or with Jerry Welch. Now, don't forget, folks, I'm an Aggie, so play along. Now, since in reality this show is a composite of four different interviews, I will ask follow-up questions of one candidate, but not the other, and is why the candidates do not respond to one another's answers. In fact, the first time any of the candidates will have heard the answers from one another will be after this show has been broadcast. Now, I never place time limits on candidates' answers. However, when they go long, and sometimes they do, we will edit it for time. Since most of the candidates are not used to being on camera, as they're not professional politicians, in fact, the seat for Rockwall City Council is an unpaid position. Before we begin, I let every candidate know that they can re-answer or restate anything they say, because the purpose of today's show is to allow them to be the best that they can be. Finally, the reason you watch a show like this is so that you can understand the differences between the candidates and better understand which one of them best reflects your values. With that in mind, you're going to hear the candidates answer just 7 of the 15 questions that I asked, because these are the ones where you can actually see more than a nuanced difference between them. For instance, all 4 candidates claim to be strong Republicans, which really isn't surprising and would be a waste of your time to hear them answer that question. So you will hear some differences among the candidates, and I hope that it provides you with the information you need to make an informed decision on May 1st. So let me introduce you to the candidates for today's show, and I'm going to start with Clarence Jorif. Okay. Now, Clarence has been a resident of Rockwall since 2012. Now, Clarence was born in Queens, New York, and grew up in Brooklyn, New York. Clarence is a distinguished graduate of Norwich University in Vermont, from which he obtained a master's degree in public administration with a concentration on public safety emergency preparedness. He graduated from the State University of New York, Excelsior College, Albany, New York, and received his bachelor's degree in criminal justice and psychology. Clarence began his prestigious military career in the U.S. Army as a military police officer stationed in Fort Hood, Texas. He worked his way through the ranks and achieved an assignment with the U.S. Army Criminal Investigation Command, where he was a highly decorated U.S. Army Chief Warrant Officer 3. During his tenure as a detail leader with the Protective Services Unit, he was responsible for the personal security of U.S. Department of Defense officials and their foreign counterparts. Clarence's leadership skills have been honed throughout his 38 years of federal, county, local, and military law enforcement services. He retired in December of 2016 as a senior special agent from the U.S. Secret Service, where he provided and supervised protective operations for the President and Vice President of the United States, former presidents, and foreign heads of state. He is a successful businessman and owner of The Compound, Roy City, which is a shooting sports training facility currently located in Rockwall, Texas. The business affords individuals the ability to learn protective skills needed to safeguard themselves and their family. Clarence currently serves as vice president of the Rockwall County Republican Men's Club, is a lifetime member of Terry Fisher American Legion Post 117, is a member of the Band of Brothers, Sisters, and Friends, is a member of Rockwall Chamber of Commerce, and is a member of the Rockwall Veterans Business Alliance. Clarence is elected National Treasurer for the Hispanic American Police Command Officers Association in Washington, D.C. So,
well, let me go there before you go there.
Yeah.
What you see sitting before you, in appearance only, is a black male.
Yeah.
My parents are of Hispanic descent.
Really?
My mother was born in Panama. My dad was born in Costa Rica.
Okay.
So here, routinely throughout my career, I sit back and I take it and I take it and I take it. When I've had enough, I turn on someone back in Spanish and they're like, "Where are you from?" And it's like, no, we're way past where you're from.
Well, let me introduce Dennis Lewis. Now, Dennis is no stranger to the Rockwall City Council. He's been on Rockwall City Council before and term limited off. He was mayor pro tem for the city, served on the council from 2012 to 2018. He's a former City of Rockwall Planning and Zoning Commissioner as well, former board director of the Rockwall County Emergency Services Corporation. He served on the City of Rockwall Finance and Audit Committee, the Motel Tax Committee, or Hotel Motel Tax Committee, I should say, and has served on the City Council Subcommittee on selecting a new city attorney. He is a past member of the board of directors and past president of ASA North Texas chapter. What is ASA?
It's American Subcontractors Association.
Well, that dovetails well into what you do for a living. You are vice president of Potter Concrete Ltd. He's been there for 28 years, which is unheard of. But also, he's the president of Meals on Wheels Senior Services of Rockwall County. Great organization. So he's done all of these things, but more importantly, he is a Texas Aggie. He has been to the Holy Land and survived, and that is such a great thing. But I left the best for last. He is married for 42 and a half years to his wife, Clarissa. Congratulations,
Thank you.
By the way.
Thank you.
He has a daughter, Tiffany, son-in-law, Ryan, and their 4 children. He has a son, Brett, and daughter-in-law, Paula, and their 2 children. And now he's always had his daughter, Elise, but just a couple of weeks ago in Hawaii, he welcomed his new son-in-law, Austin. How was that?
That's correct. That was fantastic.
Yeah?
That was a fantastic trip. We're very fortunate. She married a good guy from a good family, and same way with all my in-laws. They're all good people, all came from good families. But we had a fantastic time. Had a family vacation out of it, and so it was a great trip. Great trip, great wedding. Very fortunate to have him in our family.
What a great experience.
Oh, exactly.
Yeah. So you sure are blessed. And what's neat is that all 3 children are Rockwall High School graduates. So obviously the RISD races going on right now are of interest to you, huh?
Oh, exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. They're very important. And the Rockwall Independent School District is one of the reasons people move to Rockwall.
That's right.
And so it's very important. I'm glad to see there are multiple people running. There's a lot of interest.
A lot of
in
interest.
the RISD. And we've got a great school district, and it needs to remain great. So.
Absolutely. Well, I appreciate you being here.
Well, thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
Now let me introduce Dr. Priscylla Bento. Dr. Bento is a bona fide Texan, born to immigrant parents from Brazil in Dallas and raised in Rockwall as a first-generation American. She has grown up in Rockwall since 8th grade and graduated from Rockwall High School in 2007. I guess you're going to be interested in the RISD race.
Absolutely. I know many of them.
Okay.
And it's very close to my heart. Rockwall's my town. I grew up here. So once you grow up here, it's hard to not love Rockwall.
I can imagine so. The direct influence and support of her Rockwall community aided in providing almost $20,000 in scholarship to go to the University of Texas at Arlington in the fall of 2007. So that is a little bit about your bio. Now I'm interested to know, you are a PK, a pastor's kid. How is that growing up?
You know, preacher's kids, we get a bad rap. And,
Yes, you do.
I was one of those kids.
I understand. Yeah.
Yes, my family actually lived right behind the church, so needless to say, I would jump the fence in my dress with my stockings, and Mom was not happy.
Oh, and what's even better about it is that you are into mixed martial arts. Now you actually do it.
Yes.
You're not just a fan.
Yes.
How long have you been doing that?
I have been on and off since 2009, I think. Yes.
Wow.
But I am a forever white belt. Please do not try to challenge me.
And what is a white belt? I don't know what the belt's color is.
In jiu-jitsu, there's various belts. There's white belt, blue belt, purple belt, brown belt, and then black belt. And I just never had the opportunity to really stick to it just because of school, academia, working. And so I'm what we call a forever white belt.
Okay, well, and tell me the colors again.
White, blue, purple, brown, and black.
Okay, and I would be considered a yellow belt. Okay, very good. Now that we got that out of the way, I appreciate you being here.
Thank you.
And let me introduce Jerry Welch. Jerry is a top producing full-time professional realtor and work in Rockwall Ebby Holiday office. He and his wife moved to Rockwall from Plano in 2013, chasing grandkids. How many grandkids do you have?
We have two.
Two. Okay. How old?
My grandson will turn 11.
Okay.
In April.
Yeah.
My granddaughter just turned 10.
Okay.
So perfect age, a lot of fun to be with, and we literally live across the street from them.
So they're in the Rockwall school districts.
Yeah, they are. They go to Reinhardt.
Okay, so the RISD election is something that you obviously are interested in, are you not?
Absolutely.
Yeah, good. He started his real estate career in 2007 after taking early retirement from Verizon, where he was national account manager for over 25 years. There he worked with C-level clients, providing best-in-class customer service and managing multi-million-dollar contracts and clients. Currently, he serves the citizens of Rockwall as the vice chair of the Planning and Zoning Commission and the chair of our Hometown Vision 2040 comprehensive plan, which I hope we can talk about too while we're at it. Since coming to Rockwall, he has completed both the Rockwall Citizens Police Academy and Rockwall Citizens Fire Academy. You've been busy.
Yeah, the Fire Academy nearly killed me. My wife reminded me I am an old man. I had never had problems with my right knee.
Yeah.
Well, apparently firefighters spend a lot of time on their knees, crawling under the smoke, and so we spent a lot of time crawling.
Oh, my goodness.
I had to have my right knee drained twice in 14 weeks, and it still hurts.
So, yeah, if we're trying to get people to come to the Fire Academy, I'm not sure we're doing a good job, are we?
I tell you, it is a fantastic opportunity.
Yeah.
It's hands-on. One of the first things that they do when you get there is they give you your own equipment.
Wow.
You got your full suit, everything, and you will learn so much about what those guys do. They always had a high respect in my book, but man, that bumped them to the top.
Yeah, anybody who goes into a fire, I think, is also a litlittle bit crazy.
Yes.
All right, just so you know.
That and politics.
Yeah. Oh, well, that's obviously there. He graduated the Rockwall County Chamber of Commerce Leadership Class of 2016. And his business, the Welch team, was named New and Emerging Business in 2015 and Best Rockwall Chamber Small Business in 2016. Presently, he's on the board of directors of Rockwall County Rainbow Room and was on the advisory board for Women in Need, or WIN. He is a founding member of the 100 Business Leaders of Rockwall and member of the Noon Rotary. More importantly, his wife and him have been active in their church. Which church do you attend? are you a member of?
A little strange. We have got a fantastic life group that we attend at Lake Point Church.
Yeah.
A bunch of old folks our age. Our group is the last step before you step into the casket. So everyone has to come through there and then take it over.
Love it.
And being that First Baptist was open last March, and you were masks were optional.
Yeah,
we started going to First Baptist for worship.
First Baptist in Dallas.
First Baptist in Rockwall.
Very good. Very good.
We love the teaching, the preaching, the music. So we actually go to 2 different churches.
Well, that's okay. That's okay. Both good churches, by the way. Obviously.
Yes.
Yeah. He actually started a new church right after they were married in 1973 and made full circle when he became founding members of Stonebriar Community Church in Frisco in 1998. Well, that's exciting, and it is great to have you here today, and I appreciate you being willing to sit in the bunker a little bit and answer give us a little bit of straight talk. So that's good. So let's ask the obvious question: why are you running for city council, Jerry?
I love Rockwall. I have served the last 3.5, nearly 4 years on planning and zoning.
Yeah.
And planning and zoning is a fantastic opportunity. We see most of the things that come prior to the city council. Some of the things that get a little frustrating is, I guess it's because of age and because of the past experiences. I like to be a problem solver. And in planning and zoning, we're more of an approval body. So we can do this, we can do that, but we can't say, hey, how about if we do this and we work and change this? And they frown upon us doing that. So I feel like I am missing some opportunities to help both the city as well as the applicants when they're coming into town, be them developers, be them citizens. Our process is kind of lengthy, especially for individuals wanting to build a home or maybe a small business. I'd like to see if there's some way we could streamline that. I know that there are a lot of rules and regulations that the state puts on us and that the lawyer says you can't do this, you can't do that, but I really feel like we can at least try to better serve our citizens in that capacity. But I've always been kind of a servant, and it's just one of those things. When we first moved to Rockwall, we actually visited First Baptist Church.
Okay.
Really liked it.
Yeah.
My wife looked and she said, no, I don't want you getting wrapped around the axle like you always do. So what she didn't realize is I've got to be wrapped around an axle somewhere.
Sure.
So I went from the church axle to the city axle.
Okay. Well, very good. Dr. Bento?
You know, as an academic, I've focused on urban planning, public policy, economic development. As a professional, I've focused on inclusion and elections and transparency through the Public Information Act. So I figured now is the time and the opportunity to run and not only represent our community, but also contribute my knowledge, my expertise to our small town that's not so small anymore.
So I mean, it's interesting because you are kind of you're at the mercy, if you will, of a city council in Dallas, and here you want to now be on the city council. So it's kind of a neat change for you, isn't it?
It is.
Yeah.
It is.
Yeah. Okay. And everyone else, I'm asking the question, why are you running for city council? But Dennis, I'm asking you, why are you a glutton for punishment?
You know, I've been asked that question a lot.
I bet you.
I've been asked that question
do.
a lot, but
yeah.
You know, public service is my passion. I love what I do for a living.
Yeah.
I'm very fortunate. I'm very blessed.
Okay.
But public service and nonprofit sector is my passion. It's where my passion lies. I love being on the city council. I love being able to help the citizens, work with the city staff, do everything associated with the city council. Also, it gives Clarissa and I a chance to continue to give back to the community that's been so good to us. Plus, I want to continue to maintain the fiscal responsibility we had when I was on the council, and it's been exhibited since I've been off the council. I want to continue that.
That's wonderful. Excellent. Clarence?
Wow. My background has always been the person behind the person running for public.
Right, yes.
I could have taken the approach of sitting back and watching others lead, but you see some things you don't like. So to run for city council, I want to be the face of Rockwall. This is where we are. We're a vibrant, growing metropolis, per se. I want to continue that growth, but sensible growth. I met a woman yesterday. It's like that was the first time she had met me, and when my name and my face popped up around town running for city council, she's like, you know what? You're a breath of fresh air. You're something new. You're something vibrant. And I look at myself as the present and the future of Rockwall. We got to continue doing smart things. We now got to continue growing in a positive way, because there are a lot who'll come back and they'll say, well, I've done this and I've done that. And my question to you is, what have you done lately? And what do you plan to do for the future? My website, and we'll talk about that later, lists everything that I stand for, who I am, a proud conservative, Christian, father, I'm embedded because of that, businessman, I'm embedded because of that. But it's about making things better and pushing us in a positive direction, and that's what I'm in for.
Very good. What is your vision for the city of Rockwall, Clarence?
Wow. Everyone talks about Rockwall is based on three things: live, work, and play. Yeah. And I add raising your families there.
There you go. I like that.
Rockwall is going to continue to grow. It's not, it's just for, well, we don't want to build this. We don't want this here. We don't want that there. Rockwall is going to grow.
Sure.
It needs to be guided with sensible growth. And the second part of my pillar is infrastructure. We have to have the infrastructure in place to support that growth. So, what am I looking at? Growing Rockwall, bringing businesses in, which is the third pillar. Business development. Everyone in Rockwall pays their taxes for their homes. Property tax rates have declined for the last 4 years. Since 2005, they have trended downward to where we are today. What's making that possible? These mom and pops, these big businesses that are coming in, they pay their sales and use taxes. Those taxes go into the Central Appraisal District, which helps offset those property tax values. We need more businesses. We need more good businesses, not only to help with that tax base, to bring employment opportunities for the residents of Rockwall. I don't mind people coming from inside of Rockwall to work here, because they're bringing us their money.
Sure, sure.
The good thing about the play part of Rockwall is people come from all around to enjoy what we have to give. Bring your money. Feel free to leave it at our gas stations, at our restaurants, wherever. But the thing about it is we're growing. We need to continue to grow. I'm a futuristic, forward thinker. I think for right here, what we're doing right now, I rely on my past and those that have served before to get guidance from what they did good, what they didn't do too good, and what they did bad.
Okay.
You can always find good in something.
Absolutely.
But at the same time, use that as a forward thinker, as a visionary to guide Rockwall into the future. That's what I plan on doing.
Dennis?
You know, I want Rockwall to be that shining city on the hill. I want it to be the envy of the Metroplex. Because of a good place to live and work and play and raise a family and retire in. Sometimes we forget the retirement part of it. I want us to have the best city services, the best facilities, the best everything. And I want us to not get tied into doing things just because that's the way they were done in the past. I want us to be a city that entertains new ideas, that entertains new things, new technologies, to make things better for our citizens.
Jerry?
Before here, we lived 7 years in Plano, and before that, we lived 7 years in Frisco.
Wow.
We raised our daughter in Waxahachie. We moved from far south in Waxahachie to far north in Frisco. 98 in Frisco, we had 3 restaurants.
Wow.
And you see what they've got today. Frisco, actually, the way that they have built and developed their city is studied by a lot of city planning groups.
It's amazing.
It is amazing.
It really is.
And I would like to see us do similar things. I mean, every city's different, but they've got a great model that we can look at and we can follow. Some of the things, especially going back to the CPAC, is we looked at other cities, what they do, how they did it.
Yeah.
And not any sense in reinventing the wheel if if it's already been accomplished.
Yeah.
So I would think that as we do grow, we need to grow wisely.
Yep.
And we need to take care of our citizens. It is amazing. I don't know of any other place in Texas that the city council has lowered the tax rate every year as the value of homes have gone up. So residents
Is that something you want to continue?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Residents in Rockwall are paying the same in home taxes as they were 6 years ago.
Yeah.
Even though their values of their home have dramatically increased. One of the ways that's happening is the city is fantastic about pulling in large retail, large technology. Our EDC is a fantastic group. I guess I can say it because it came through P&Z. So we've got over a 200,000 square foot Amazon depot coming into Rockwall. And
wow,
great for tax base.
Yeah.
We've got new businesses coming into the EDC. They're real good about what they go after and what they bring in.
Yeah.
We want clean. We want companies that have high valued equipment, and all of that contributes to that tax base so that we can allow the citizens in the residential piece to remain low.
So that people don't misinterpret what you say, because when people tell me, "Hey, I like what Frisco did," you're not saying that you want to see Rockwall become Frisco,
no.
Are you? So can you kind of pinpoint and clarify that?
Well, I think what we can do is we can look at what Frisco did.
And give me an example. Help me understand.
Well, if and some of the things that we do now is like we require a builder to put in green space, and we give them a little extra incentive if it's larger green space. So we had a deal come before P&Z just last night, and it's a developer wanting to develop, I think it was 197 acres. And he is willing to donate 50 acres for a city park.
Okay.
So that city park is going to be extremely expensive if Rockwall builds it. Mm-hmm. But if a developer comes in and that's part of the development
they're actually going to build out the park.
They would build out the park.
Okay.
And our parks department has been just phenomenal in going after grants and different incentives. So normally just round numbers, say that's $1 million. Mm-hmm. Then our parks department will find more than likely a matching grant. So that's $2 million, and it hadn't cost the city a dime.
So a few years ago, there was a bond option for voters to look at building some playfields. Some that fell short. The voters did not approve that. What is your vision for that? I mean, that kind of thing. Do you think that's going to be in our future?
I think that there's different ways to handle that. I'm not really for jacking up taxes and having the city put in a bunch of ball fields and different things. If we can do a combination of city and private, it's probably one of the best ways to resolve that issue.
Very good. Dr. Bento, how would you answer that?
You know, Rockwall is changing and growing, but my biggest vision is even in that growth, we maintain a certain level of community and that small town feel. People move to Rockwall County, Rockwall City, because of that small town feel. We love that. And so even if we grow, even if we change, we still hold on to our values. I love that. What do you see as the biggest challenge or challenges facing the city of Rockwall? I think the biggest challenge is growth. Growth is great, but uncontrolled growth is not necessarily the best route. So I think that what we're seeing is we're having folks move into Rockwall who have different perspectives, different opinions, and that doesn't necessarily make it wrong, but it is something that we should take into consideration as to how we integrate each other's opinions, each other's ideas as that growth occurs. So that's a big thing here in Rockwall.
Clarence?
You only have a problem when you perceive a problem. I don't see a problem. Growth is in the best interest of Rockwall, and some may say we're growing too fast or let's slow the growth some. No, let's not slow it. Let's manage it. Let's manage it properly. The only way of doing that is by utilizing forethought, by sitting back and I'll bring something to place.
Okay.
The 2040 plan that's been established for the growth of Rockwall.
Okay.
That's already on the books.
Okay.
We're working within that. Work within it. But
Do you like the plan?
Yeah, I do.
Okay.
Work within the plan, because sometimes you have to tweak something a little bit here and there. Oh, that's it. It's like the Ten Commandments is carved in stone. We can't do anything. No, you can always make adjustments, but those adjustments are made based on thought. It's based on research. It's looking at what's changed from yesterday to today that could possibly change tomorrow. It's by making decisions on the fly, but based on research and good knowledge.
So you know, if you're standing on that plan and you like it, and you do
Overall.
make overall, okay, and so you do make changes to it, how will you communicate that to taxpayers?
It goes back to what we talked about before, communication. There is so much information that's put out before every city council meeting. But guess what? Well, I didn't know about that. Did you go look? Did you do the research? Did you ask someone that was knowledgeable that could actually speak to that versus, well, I think that this is what's going on and da-da. You got to base your actions on fact. You have to base your knowledge on fact. As I talked about before, going to the city website, that documentation and or the videos that show what took place during those city council meetings, it's there. So if someone tells you XYZ and then you go and see and it's not XYZ, that's based on what they told you. An informed consumer is an educated consumer. An educated consumer, as in the citizens of Rockwall, helps make us better.
Very good. Jerry, what about you? What do you think?
Keeping taxes low.
Really?
Infrastructure.
Yeah.
Our infrastructure is starting to get a little old, and we're having to replace some of that.
When you say infrastructure, what are we talking about?
Underground. Most of the things that you can't see.
The sewer
lines, water lines. And we're seeing more and more younger families move into Rockwall. I actually live on South Lake Shore. And it's amazing the number of kids that are being pushed in strollers and people out walking their dogs. So we've got to try to take care of both of those.
Dennis?
Well, it's no secret we've got bad traffic congestion.
And it's going to get worse with 205.
It's going to get worse with 205. Yeah. But there are a lot of road projects coming to Rockwall next 5 to 7 years. It's going to help ease some of it. And we're fortunate and unfortunate. But we're fortunate because the major thoroughfares north and south and east and west through Rockwall are state roads.
Right.
So at least directly we don't have to pay for the maintenance.
Exactly.
The unfortunate part is that we don't control those roadways. The City of Rockwall staff, City of Rockwall City Council, the county, we work very well with the regional representatives from TxDOT. So we have the Rockwall County Planning Consortium that meets once a month with TxDOT and the consultants to prioritize our road projects.
Okay.
So, and I forgot what year it was, the county passed a bond program to where once we identify those projects, the county can go ahead and pay for the engineering on it. And that way, when state money becomes available, we're shovel ready.
Oh, wow.
So that's an advantage. But there's some other things, too, with 205. You mentioned 205, so I'll address that. When I was on the council, the state had pretty much agreed to take John King as a loop around Rockwall. And the city was going to take 205 from John King to John King.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Now, since I've gotten off the council, that has kind of not been the case. The state is still showing redoing 205, which it needs to be redone,
yes, it
especially
does.
up north.
Yep.
It needs to be expanded. And they've still got that on schedule to start in the next few years. So once I get on the council, I want to kind of figure out what went wrong or what went different from the city taking 205 to the state now taking 205.
Why do you want the city to take possession?
Well, John King, number one, is a natural bypass for the trucks. Now, the state's going to have to do some work to it to bring it up to their standards. And at the railroad track, they're going to have to go underneath, put an underpass underneath. So there's some major things that they're going to have to thicken the roadway. So there's some major things the state would have to do. The problem with 205 is the last two plans I saw for 205, the state was going to come to downtown and split it again and go along Alamo. Well,
bypassing downtown?
Well, not totally bypassing downtown, but they were going to take Alamo Street as the main one south.
Okay.
Well, one plan they showed took out 7 of those houses, and the other plan took out 9 of those houses.
Wow.
So I had a problem with that. So traffic congestion is a problem. Growth's a problem, which I'll address that a little later if you're okay with that.
Yeah, absolutely.
But we've got major traffic congestion problems. And like I said, we need to continue to work well with TxDOT. They work very well with us. But we're going to have to do a little forward, different thinking to get that traffic congestion solved because we're growing. So traffic congestion is not going to get any better.
Very good. Very good. You know, for the first time in Texas history, state and local government mandated involuntary shutdowns of private businesses and houses of worship in an effort to stop the spread of the COVID pandemic. Whether or not you supported this action by government, voters have the right to know under what circumstances you support a municipal government shutting down local businesses and or houses of worship. Dennis?
You know, I don't know if there's a circumstance I support local government or government at any level being able to shut down houses of worship or private businesses. I've just got a problem with it. You know, let's educate the public. The public's smart, okay? Let's educate the public. Let them live their lives, but people are smart. They will do what they're supposed to do without the federal government, local government, state government coming in and shutting everything down overnight. That's a dangerous proposition for any level of government to be able to do that.
And at the same time, while people are smart, people also have the right to be stupid.
They have the right to be stupid, and we exercise that right a lot.
We do, and that's not government's role to protect us from ourselves.
That's correct.
Yeah,
that's correct.
Very good, Dennis. I appreciate that answer. Clarence?
Having been a pandemic coordinator, I understand why it was done, but ultimately it comes down to the decision of an individual. If, as a business owner, I decide to open my business to service Rockwall, you're going to comply by my parameters to come into my business.
Which is your right.
My business is going to be mass. Even as it sits right now, this is something I chuckle because the Chamber of Commerce helped me out to keep me open during the pandemic. They provided me with masks. They provided me with hand sanitizer. Having been an EMT and knowing sanity and how it does, knowing how to make sure to keep things clean, it was a no-brainer for me. I had the family in masks and gloves a week before anything came down. They'd go to the store, people would look at them weird, like, what's wrong with you? You do you. If you don't want to wear a mask, that's fine. If this business doesn't allow you or allows you not to wear a mask, that's fine. If you come to a business that does have a mask in place, comply. I saw something here recently, and this woman did it twice here. She was someplace, she went to the bank, walked into the bank has a sign that says mask. I'm not wearing a mask. The person says, sorry, can't serve you. Right. There's the door. She put up a fight. The police were called. The police said, hey, you're now trespassing, not because of the mask mandate. You're trespassing because this business doesn't want you here because you're not wearing a mask. Fine. She went away. She went to another place in another city and did the same thing and the same action. I'm not in favor of the city or the government saying you must. We Americans have rights.
Right.
We have the right to choose.
Absolutely.
We have the right to act on our best, in our best interest. Sometimes good, sometimes bad. But that's your choice to make that decision. City government has no place, and I'm proud of Mayor Pruitt because that was one of the things.
Yes.
It's like, no. Do as you deem appropriate, handle your business, But if you go someplace that says you have to, and the sign's there, just please comply.
Absolutely.
It doesn't make any sense not to. And if you feel that you don't want to comply, well, I guess you don't need to go to that business.
Absolutely. Good. Thank you. I completely agree with your answer. So thank you for that. Jerry?
None. Next.
I love it. I love that answer.
I do not think it is the government's place to tell me I can or cannot shut down. I do not think, I go all the way back to before seatbelts. I don't think it's the government's place to tell me to wear a seatbelt.
Yeah.
My insurance company can do that.
Yep.
And if you don't wear the seatbelt, you're going to die and we ain't going to cover you.
Yes.
Same thing with motorcycle helmets.
Yeah.
It's not between the government and the rider. It should be between the rider and an insurance company or their family.
Yeah.
Government tries to get way too deep into people's pockets and business. And I'll be the first to say, if a business wants to put a sign up and say masks are required, I give them full credit. They
Absolutely.
can do that.
Absolutely.
And I can also turn around and find a place that I can shop that doesn't require masks.
Exactly.
I got my first COVID shot.
Yeah.
I got COVID.
Okay.
I got my second COVID shot. So now then I've got my COVID card. If I ever want to go anywhere, I actually had it laminated and I started to put communist card. That's probably a little far.
I love it.
So, and I told my wife I wouldn't get too deep into the conservative political things, but it just kind of naturally oozes out.
Well, in this show, you're okay to do that. I got to tell you, that's awesome. Yes. Love that answer. Dr. Bento?
This is a once-in-a-lifetime kind of experience to deal with the pandemic that we have.
We hope.
We pray.
Yeah.
And being on the back end as a person who works for the city of Dallas, I know that everyone was doing what they could with the tools that they had to navigate something that hasn't been navigated before. In my personal opinion, supporting a shutdown after understanding what we know now and how to navigate something like this, I think unless we have a zombie apocalypse, I don't see it being of necessity. I don't know if it is the best route. And we have the tools now to understand how to navigate a situation such as this to where we can continue to, even if it's maintaining 6 feet distance and wearing masks, we have the tools and we have the knowledge now into how to navigate a situation like this.
But when you don't know, when you don't have that knowledge, I mean, are there scenarios that you can imagine where the local government, the city government, specifically the city of Rockwall, has the right, in your eyes, to shut down government or businesses and houses of worship?
I think it really just depends on the situation. I wouldn't say no, never, because one thing I've learned is never say never. I never thought that in this day and age we would close churches or completely shut down businesses. Never in a million years did I think that would happen, and yet here we are. So I would never say never, but I really think it would have to be dire situations for something like that to occur. But I will say this, local government is always going to be the first line of engagement with our community. We're always going to be the folks who are living next door to the folks who are voting with us. We're always the ones next door and going to the same soccer games, or same school plays. So if anything, I think that local government should and can have their ear to the ground, listening to what community members really believe should occur, should something as dire as the need to shut everything down occur again.
Okay, Dr. Bento, thank you. As the population grows, citizens clamor for more government services while also fighting against higher taxes. What experience and solutions do you bring to the table that might help accomplish both? Jerry?
I explain to people, I graduated high school. No, I didn't graduate college, but I have got my doctorate. That doctorate is from the School of Hard Knocks.
Yes.
I have made many mistakes, and I've learned a ton from them. I'm one of those guys. Sometimes I still make the same mistake over again.
Sure.
But,
we all do.
Yeah, well.
We all do.
Yeah. But let's see.
Education has nothing to do with intellect. So let's just let's make sure that you understand where I stand and where conservatives stand on that.
Well, and I mean, it's great. College isn't for everybody.
Right.
When I went to college and I really enjoyed it, but I met the love of my life. I got married. I already had a restaurant.
Okay.
And so I was trying to be a husband, run a restaurant, and go to college, and it didn't work. So I had to give one up, and I elected college. There's been a couple of times that I've probably regretted that, but not that many.
Doesn't seem like you ended up too bad, though.
Yeah, I hope not.
That's good. That's very good. Dr. Bento?
So, higher taxes is always a big issue, but Rockwall has been blessed. We've been blessed with growth, and that growth has actually helped the city of Rockwall have a decline in taxes for the past 7 years.
The tax rate?
Yes, tax rate. Mm-hmm. Correct. County and state, well, it's another conversation. And I think that at this given point, the city of Rockwall continues to grow. And I think if we mitigate that growth in a manner to where not only can we sustain low tax rates in the city of Rockwall, we can also have a rainy day fund for the future when growth isn't as rapid as it is right now. And we can sustain low tax rates along with providing those public services that we need.
Dennis?
Well, me being a businessman, my business experience helps. My experience on the city council helps.
Yep.
Because I'm accustomed to making plans. I'm accustomed to making budgets and sticking to budgets and making it work within the budget constraints. More government services doesn't necessarily tie into more higher taxes. A lot of the more government services are dictated by growth. So from the growth, you're going to get more property taxes. In theory, you're going to get more sales tax. So it doesn't necessarily have to be a proposition where you raise taxes to get more government services. We can allocate personnel. We can increase responsibilities of personnel. We can allocate resources to take care of a lot of those situations. So I don't see necessarily you having to raise taxes to get more government services. I think you just need to be smarter about it.
Clarence?
As I mentioned before, the biggest thing about taxes is looking at what would cause a need to raise taxes. Having done the research on Rockwall, the city has probably about $13 million in its coffers. Great. It may seem like a lot to some, it may seem like very little to others, but that's what we have to work with. To raise taxes for any reason must have a really defined reason for it. How do I offset that? Everyone always says, well, the first people to get taxed are the citizens. There's ways to look around. There are things that can be cut. There are services that be cut. But when you cut some service, someone's going to complain. But it's for the greater good. As a citizen, as a taxpayer here, I don't want to pay any more taxes. But the offset of that is, how can I generate more business, bring larger businesses in, more businesses coming in, put more money into those coffers, which should help offset that tax requirement. It comes down to researching to see what caused the problem. If it's something that we can mitigate that problem right then and there to cause that, whatever caused the problem to be taken care of, fine. If not, do you have to look at other things before raising taxes? I'm not in favor of raising taxes because I got to pay them too.
Thanks, Clarence. Dr. Bento, under what circumstances would you support an increase to the city's tax rate?
Oh, goodness. This is a what-if question, right?
Yep.
I think we would have to be at a complete standstill, halt, no growth, 0% growth, and we're losing all public services unless we raise our taxes to continue public services. And when we say public services, we mean infrastructure, water, our public safety, police officers, firefighters. So it would have to be in that kind of situation where there's absolutely no other option. But usually we can also put it in the hands of voters, bond elections and the like. Voters have a say in this. So it's not more so of if I think that we need to raise the tax rate, but more so of, are we all in agreement that this is the path that we need to take?
Very good. Jerry?
I don't know. That's one of the things. I tend to be pretty honest. I would have to see it. I can't reach out there and find something that would really require a tax increase. But like we talked a little earlier, the city council is working to keep that balance low. And I think that's phenomenal. I think we need to keep that up. As a realtor, it amazes me that nobody wants their property values to go up until they get ready to sell.
Yeah.
Then that house is worth twice what it is on the tax rolls.
Right.
So, you can't have it both ways.
Yeah.
I guess you can until you sell.
Right. That's true.
Tax rates are a very difficult thing, and in my opinion, they have to be looked at on an annual basis. And my goal would not to be raising any taxes. I'm not going to do like Bush and say, read my lips, no new taxes, because we never know what is going to happen. I really think because of Rockwall's openness that we have done extremely good last year with our taxes, with the willingness of both the citizens as well as the retail establishments to stay open. And I think that we're better off than most.
Clarence?
Only under the most austere conditions.
Say that again.
Only under the most austere conditions. We don't have the resources available in our funding to get past whatever we're working with, and we have to put something in place. But once again, businesses, the Rockwall EDC, in cooperation with the Chamber of Commerce, that's their job. 25 cents per hundred of every dollar that goes in for property taxes goes to the EDC to have them find ways, find businesses, find land, offset or mitigate taxes for those businesses for a specific time period to help them get their feet, just like a plant, spread their roots, grow. That's what I would do. We have to look for options before, okay, tax rate. Can't do that. And a lot of times those things, you'll see them coming down the road, but if you're like a ostrich and stick your head in the sand, you'll ignore it. That's why we have to monitor that stuff, those incidents very closely at all times.
So let's just think about it. What would be reasons to raise the tax rate?
Not having been on the council, I may not be able to answer that, but it would have to be something catastrophic that was unforeseen and had not been forecasted. And if that's the case, shame on who's ever guarding the coffers at that time, because they should have seen it coming.
You almost sound like you're someone who would rather cut back than raise taxes.
Oh, definitely. If you can give somebody a benefit, case in point, tax rate, last 4 years. That's a good thing for people.
They've lowered the taxes.
Lower their tax rate.
Yes.
Even last year during the COVID year, we still saw a slight tax rate decrease.
Yeah.
But it's still going in the same direction. It's going down.
Thank you, Clarence. Dennis?
Never say never.
Right.
But I'm not for tax increases. When I was on the council, we never increased taxes. We cut taxes, actually, and still were able to maintain our services. Now, a lot of that's because of the higher appraisal values. Higher appraisal values bring in more money to the taxing entities. Also, our sales tax revenues have been steadily growing, even during the pandemic.
Wow.
The state passed a law several years ago to tax e-commerce, which is not good because we pay more for that, but it's good for our taxing entities because it's taxed at the point of delivery. So
yes.
Through the pandemic, the sales tax collections in the city of Rockwall have been good, actually. I don't support tax increases, but there's coming a time when the appraisals are going to go flat. I don't anticipate them ever going down, but they're going to go flat. If the sales tax receipts start going down or even leveling off, then there's going to have to be some tough decisions to make. A tax increase is the last resort. You look at everything you can cut, everything you can do better, everything you can do smarter before you ever do a tax increase. One thing I will say about that, and it ties into tax increases, Rockwall is fast approaching a point where we've got to make a decision whether we're going to be a full-time fire department. We're full-time, supposedly full-time volunteer, but it's more so full-time, part-time. We have part-time firemen that are full-time firemen in other cities that live in Rockwall, so they're able to work on their off shifts for the city of Rockwall. But we're fast approaching the time where we're going to have to decide whether we need a full-time fire department. At that point, the citizens have to decide whether they want to pay for it. So I don't support tax increases. Never say never. There are a few instances out there where it may happen.
Very good. Thank you. So, last question. Is there a specific issue or set of issues on which you wish to focus if elected? Clarence? You've been talking a lot about the business and those types of things. So,
it comes down to the big three.
Yeah.
And those are my pillars, and you can find that on my website. Addressing public safety, keeping myself and everyone else safe in Rockwall, the infrastructure, we're growing, making sure to have the forethought of what we're growing and doing so sensibly. And the last thing is business development. Out of those three, public safety is always near and dear to my heart because that's what I've done throughout my whole life, kept people safe. But the close second to that, if I can't even say it's a close second or third because they're all of equal importance to me. But that business development, that means it means a lot because if you have a vibrant economy and things are growing, where's that coming from? Businesses. And I don't want to see any of these businesses go out of business because that, once again, it keeps Rockwall unique. It gives us this hometown feel. It keeps Rockwall. And I'm all about keeping Rockwall.
Very good. Jerry?
Not particularly. I mean, everybody's got to find something that they don't like. Because of my P&Z experience, probably the one thing that I would like to try to focus on is making it a little more simple for the average citizen to come in and either want to add something or build something. The process can get way too cumbersome with way too many restrictions. Rockwall used to not be quite as onerous as we are when it comes to permits. And Jim Pruitt, our mayor, even I think sometimes feels like we're probably a little restrictive. And again, I want Rockwall to remain pretty. I want us to remain the community that we are, and that does require both the city and the citizens all have got responsibilities, and you need to look out for one another.
Dr. Bento?
I sure do. I have 5 actually.
Okay, let's hear it.
So I have public safety. Public safety is always at the top of the list. Infrastructure. As our city grows, we need to ensure that we have the infrastructure to meet the needs of folks living here. Strengthening our neighborhoods, ensuring that we have a community perspective throughout all of our neighborhoods, and strengthening community relations. Public services is also at the top of the list, ensuring, again, that we provide the best public services to folks here in Rockwall, and also development, ensuring that development meets our standards. We want development, but we don't want just any kind of development. We want top-notch development here in Rockwall to meet the needs and the wants of Rockwallians.
Dennis, how about you?
You know, we talked about the traffic congestion.
Yes.
We've talked about the growth. The growth has to be managed properly. We need to make sure our comprehensive plan, which has to be revised every 5 years, is reflecting the will of the people, what the people want Rockwall to look like. We've got to do proper zoning. We've got to use, and you know this from your time in city government, you can use specific use permit to limit what some kind of businesses come into Rockwall. But that growth has to be maintained. We want the right kind of housing coming in, with the right kind of businesses coming in. So tackling the traffic congestion, managing the growth. But one thing nobody talks about, it was on everybody's mind 3 or 4 years ago, but it's not anymore, is our water supply. You know, we're one of the City of Rockwall is one of the 13 founding members of the North Texas Municipal Water District.
Yes,
you know all about
I do.
this.
Yes.
Now they service way more cities than 13,
That's right.
but the 13 have the board of director seats. You know, we're growing. North Texas is growing. North Texas Municipal Water District is growing. So where is our future water supply coming from for our growth? You know, North Texas is building Lower Bar Rock Reservoir in Fannin County. That's going to help.
Okay.
That's not the final answer, but it's going to help. That'll come online next year. It's the first lake permitted in the state of Texas in the last 30 years.
Wow, I did not know that.
Yes. So Ralph Hall Lake is planned in East Texas, but it hasn't even begun the permitting process yet. And that's going to be a relatively shallow lake, so it's going to help some. But the state has a water plan. The state of Texas has a water plan. Yeah. And water supply is not just a Rockwall problem. It's a North Texas problem.
It is. Absolutely.
And the state has a water plan. They just don't ever fund it. You know, several sessions ago, they allocated money for loans to municipal water districts. Well, the municipal water districts are swimming in debt now. That's not the answer.
Wow, I didn't know that.
And the state needs to do something. They need to step in to help with this. Back in the 50s, we had visionaries that saw the need for more water supply. So that's the reason you see all the lakes we have around. Well, we need visionaries in our legislature now that recognize the problem and willing to do something about it. And everything needs to be on the table. Oklahoma has plenty of water. They just won't sell it to us because we're Texas.
Right, yeah.
And Louisiana has plenty of water.
Yeah.
I think they are willing to sell it. But, you know, I mean, go think beyond the norm. I mean, do we need desalination plants like they have in other parts of the world? You know, and that's a massive water distribution system, but a lot of those water distribution systems are already in place you can tap into. So we need to start addressing that now before we get to that point, and then we're 10 years out of trying to solve it once we're in the middle of the problem. So that's another issue that I want to, and it may take a committee on the city council to start working with North Texas Municipal Water District, maybe even Supreme River Authority, which there's problems with that with contracts with the North Texas, but and start working with the state, start working with the legislators, start working with the state on that water plan. But we need to do that now. We can't. We're probably past time to start addressing that.
Yeah. You know, it's the Oklahoma Sooner T. Boone. He stopped. He was big into natural gas, and then he moved from natural gas to water. And that's why Oklahoma is not as friendly to Texas. That's another reason, because he invested in water. He saw the coming crisis.
And he invested in water rights in the Panhandle.
Big
and
time.
And was willing to provide water to this area as long as we were willing to pay for it. Just nobody was willing to pay the cost to put the piping in, the distribution systems in, everything else. But he was a visionary.
Yeah, he is.
He saw
he
the
was.
problem.
He was.
And he was trying to address it. And he was willing to make a lot of money off of it.
Oh, yeah. Well, there's nothing wrong with that.
No, there's nothing wrong with making money.
Right.
The right way. The right way.
Well, that's right. Well, I appreciate the time that all of these candidates have taken to answer some hard questions, and I hope that this has been helpful for you. But I want to give each candidate the opportunity to speak directly to you, the voter, and explain to you why they are the best person that you should choose on the ballot on May 1st. So with that, Dennis, I'm going to start with you.
Okay. Well, first of all, when we elect city council members, we're electing them to look after our best interests, to have our best interests at heart. I never lost sight of that when I was on the council. I don't lose sight of that now of who I serve. You know, as a city council member, you serve the citizens of Rockwall, and that's who you answer to. And I never lose sight of that. And everything we've discussed today and the other issues facing the city that are coming up in the future, experience matters. Business experience matters, and city council experience matters to make those sound decisions and making plans and be able to implement those plans and make them work. So I would appreciate your vote. I'd be honored to have your vote. You can contact me on my Facebook page, which is Dennis for Rockwall City Council, Place 3. Dennis for Rockwall City Council, Place 3. My website is Dennis Lewis for Rockwall. A lot of Dennis Lewis's in here. Dennis Lewis for Rockwall. My email you can contact me through is dennis@dennislewisforrockwall.com. dennis@dennislewisforrockwall.com. I do want to hear from you, and I'd appreciate your vote.
Thank you, Dennis. Clarence, your closing remarks.
Working together, we can ensure that Rockwall is a conducive and safe environment that we can live, work, and play together and raise our families. My intention of running for City Council is to be your voice, to support, to defend you, and provide you with an input into your city and your city government. As a proud Texan, conservative Christian, husband, father of 3, and businessman, I am embedded here. I view myself as the future and a forward thinker of Rockwall. I would truly appreciate your vote. Please visit my website, clarencejorif.com. Once again, clarencejorif.com. And take a look at our website. Everything that I've outlined and talked about here today is detailed there. But most importantly, communication is the key. If you have a question, you're not sure about something, reach out. The contact link is there. You can send me an email. The phone number is there. You can call me. I will always be connected to you to answer your concerns. Once again, I appreciate your vote. Thank you.
Dr. Bento, here's your chance to talk to voters directly.
Rockwall, first, thank you for the opportunity. Thank you for investing in me. The Rockwall community is why I'm here today. The Rockwall community is why I am Dr. Priscylla Bento, PhD. The Rockwall community invested in me in 2007 when I was just a kid with dreams, and today I'm cashing in on those dreams. I am showing you the investment that was made, and I want to contribute and be a leader in our community by being a member of our city council. It's an honor, it's a pleasure, and I ask that you vote Priscylla Bento for place 3 on Rockwall City Council. I look forward to representing you and honoring you the way you have honored me. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Bento. Okay, Jerry, last but not least.
Fantastic. I appreciate it, Bob. This is, it's not a long planned dream, something that I've kind of argued with, but I love Rockwall. Like we've talked about in the past, I moved here in 2013. Fell in love with the city itself, fell in love with the people, and the thing I want to do is to be the best that I can do and to serve the people of the city. With nearly 4 years experience on planning and zoning, currently I'm the chair or vice chair of that group. We spent 2 years on our comprehensive plan, laying out what we wanted Rockwall to look like in the year 2040. I feel like I have got the best knowledge, the best, I'm at nearly every city council meeting, so it's not like I'm hitting the ground and not running. I mean, I'm going to hit the ground running, being that I've been there. I know what's going on, both behind the scenes and in front. And I feel like because of my experience, because of my age, the things that I've been through, the things that I've learned don't work, I would certainly like to apply that to what we're doing here in the city of Rockwall. And to each and every one of you, the main thing is please come out and vote. Early voting starts April the 19th, and it runs through April 27th. You can go to rockwallvote.com and you can get that information. Something tells me Bob will have it on his website. All of that in the city of Rockwall. If you are in the city of Rockwall, city limits, you can vote. And you not only vote, a lot of people are confused. They say, well, what place are you in and what place do I live in? If you are a citizen of Rockwall, you can vote for all 4 places, plus the mayor. So there's 5, plus you want to come out and vote for the RISD trustee of your choice. And May 1st, that is a Saturday. Unfortunately, municipal elections are the lowest turnout that we see in any elections. So let me please ask you, I don't care who you vote for, but come out, let your voice be heard. Do not let 2,000 or 3,000 people control the city of Rockwall as well as our school system. Thank you very much. And I, again, ask for your vote. Jerry Welch. Thanks.
Well, Jerry did all my work for me, so I'll just say I want to thank all of you for being here today, and I look forward to seeing you at the polls. Blessings.